This is Pre-Calc section 11.4 on counting theory. We're only doing a little bit of this mainly to get an understanding of some formulas that we're going to need in the next section. So if you can choose one item from a group of m items and a second item from a group of n items, then the total number of two item choices is just m times n. This is what's known as the fundamental counting principle. So an example is a restaurant offers 3 appetizers and 2 main courses. How many different ways can a person order a 2-course meal? That is simply 3 times 2, and there are 6 different 2-course meals. Let's say you can have wings, loaded potato, or onion rings for your appetizer, and you can have beef or chicken for your main course. So your meals could be wings followed by beef, or wings followed by chicken. You could have the potato followed by beef, or the potato followed by chicken. The onion rings followed by beef, and the onion rings followed by chicken. And that's how we end up with 6 of those. So the fundamental counting principle is just a matter of multiplying the number of items in each selection. So we've got 15 sections of psychology, and you've got 9 sections of social science that are available. And how many ways can you create a 2-course schedule? Well, there's 15 of these. There are 9 of these. Multiply that together, and that's 135 different schedules. And there the fundamental counting principle is written out for you with subscripts, because it's not always just 2 things that you multiply. So if there's m sub 1 ways for one event to occur and m sub 2 ways for event 2 to occur, etc., all the way down to m sub n ways for event n to occur, it's just the product of all of those individual numbers. So this time the restaurant has salads, main dishes, and desserts. And you can label these if you want. So there are 3 salads from which to choose, 5 main dishes, and 2 desserts. So multiply that up. That gives you 30 different 3-course meals that you can select. This leads us into something called a factorial. Products like 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, or 3 times 2 times 1, are called factorial. And its notation is this n with an exclamation point. N factorial means start with any positive integer and multiply that number by the next number down, and then by the next number down, and by the next number down. And by definition, 0 factorial has to equal 1. You can type that in the calculator once you learn where the factorial button is. So to evaluate 5 factorial by hand, that means I need to write out 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, and multiply all that together. I get 120. But 5 factorial is located on your calculator. If you do this on the graphing calculator, you would type in 5 and then math and use your right arrow to get on top of PRB, and the 4th thing down says factorial. And that's how you will get 5 factorial. And it is 120. Now you may have to evaluate something like this, a fraction, by hand. 10 factorial means 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4, 3 times 2 times 1. 6 factorial is 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Notice from the 6 in your denominator on down, that's going to cancel out. So what you'd have to enter in the calculator is just 10 times 9 times 8 times 7, which is 5,040. But you can do this with the calculator. You can do 10 factorial, which is these steps right here. So you do 10 math, arrow over to PRB, choose the 4th thing down, which is the exclamation point, and then go immediately to division, 5 factorial, 5 math PRB factorial, and it's the 5,040. All right, a combination is just a subset of items selected without regard to order. You are choosing or selecting. The formula for that is right here. You don't need to memorize that because your calculator is actually going to do this arithmetic for you. If you want to evaluate this is a combination applied to 8 items, 3 taken at a time. Then you will do your calculator and you will enter 8 first. You will do math. You will arrow over to the right to PRB. You will choose the 3rd thing down, which is NCR, and then you type in a 3, and that works out to be 56. That's all you have to do with these combinations. Now there's different notation you will see. Instead of it being written this way with the C on the outside and the NR in the parentheses, you could see it this way with subscripts. This is also NCR. So instead of C with the 8-3 in the parentheses, you might also see it written this way. It is still the NCR. The calculator looks like this. There are no subscripts on the calculator. So let's look at a couple examples, and you can use your calculator to see if you can find these buttons. So how many ways can 3 people be selected from a group of 10 people? That is 10 people. I'm choosing 3 at a time. This is going to be 10. Math. PRB. Go down to your third selection, which is NCR, and type in the 3, and that is 120. Same setup for this. We are choosing, out of 9 problems, we're choosing 4 to do. That will be 9, math, arrow over to PRB, choose NCR, type in 4, and that works out to be 126. This NCR formula is the main formula we will need in section 11.5 to do what's called the binomial theorem.